information already being traded on the dark web?
Find out with Experian. Right now, Experian is offering a one-time dark web scan completely free. Go to
Terrifying, isn't it?
Experian.com/scan.
If you were watching the playoff game Sunday, you may have seen this ad run suggesting your personal information may be accessible on the dark web. But the question is, what is the dark web? How probable is it that your information is out there? And if it is, does it put you at risk? Here to answer those questions is tech expert Dan Thompson. We're going to get to Dan in just a moment.
Sure.
First, though, we want to know if you've ever used the dark web, or maybe you haven't, but are curious about checking for yourself and your security. We want to know your thoughts, so just weigh in at WBIR.com or on the WBIR app. And first of all, Happy New Year.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
being
Same
with
to you.
us.
Same to you.
Let's dive right into it. What is the dark web?
Well, so I've been thinking about like good analogies for how I could explain this, and unfortunately it's a little techy, but essentially like when we think of the internet, you think of like going to Google and typing something in, and that takes you on a trail of web pages, or using Facebook and Twitter, like that's kind of our normal interaction with the internet. But what the dark web is a series of websites, servers, services that are not generally accessible through Google, meaning that you have to have either special software to find it, or you have to have a special browser to get to it. So these are not websites or locations that you're just going to stumble upon by doing Google. You generally have to know where they are, and in a lot of cases you have to have special, like you have to be invited to be on these websites.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, and as the name implies, this is where a lot of the nefarious stuff on the internet goes down. And like we're talking like the really, really, really bad, like FBI's involved type stuff.
That's terrifying.
Yes, yes.
No doubt. But Experian basically saying that anyone's personal information
Yeah.
could be out there. How likely is that?
Well, this isn't going to get much better. So let me just say this. Like with all the breaches that we've had, we should all at this point assume that our information has been breached and is floating around out there on the internet. And I think if we take that stance, the next response is to be, okay, let's not be a victim. Let's take into our own hands, like how do I deal with this? Step one is to make sure we're changing all our passwords on a regular basis. That's step one. And frankly, the free thing that Experian is advertising, that's an email check. They follow that up with something they're trying to sell you, as you would imagine.
Right.
But the response to the email check that they do is you need to go change all your passwords. And this is for every account that you care about. We just started 2018. If you haven't changed your passwords this year, please go do that now.
Okay, you're saying,
Yes,
I'm
go do that now.
reiterating this for myself,
Yes.
go change
your
my
passwords. The second thing that we need to do is keep an eye on our credit. And I believe there's a little bit of misconception around this idea. When I had a conversation about this with my friends recently, their response was, well, I watch my credit card statements all the time.
Right.
Isn't that good enough? And I would say it is good that you watch your credit card statements, but that is not good enough. The reason why we do credit checks on ourselves with companies like Experian is we want to see if there are lines of credit in our name that we didn't take out. So what I'm saying specifically is, like somebody has taken out a Home Depot credit card in your name and you don't have that card, or a Visa card or whatever, and what's happening is they're making charges, your name is associated with it, but because they've taken it out in your name, you'll never know about it until the creditors start calling you saying, you owe us $5,000. Where's our money?
Right.
Like if somebody's doing charges on your card, there's really good protections in place to protect you from that. But if someone has taken out a credit card in your name, it's exponentially harder to deal with that, because now I have to prove I'm not the one that took out that credit card, I'm not the one that made all these purchases, and that can be a very involved process, and that's what we are specifically concerned about.
So a line of defense, change your passwords.
Change your passwords and keep an eye on those credits, and make sure there's no line of credit out there that you don't know about. As soon as you find those, start working with your banks.
Dan Thompson, thank you very much.
You're
Great
welcome.
information to pass along as always.